This isn't random. Someone you know is standing on the edge of honesty, deciding whether to finally open their heart to you or stay silent forever. Take a slow, steady breath before you go on. Let everything around you soften just a little. This isn't something you need to rush through. What you're about to hear is meant to be felt, not skimmed. Because right now, somewhere in your life, someone is standing quietly at the edge of their emotions, holding words they've carried for a long time. Someone is about to tell you what's in their heart. Not loudly, not dramatically, but honestly. And that moment has been building far longer than you realize. This isn't about sudden courage or impulsive confession. It's about a feeling that has matured in silence. A truth that has been tested by fear, patience, and time. This person didn't wake up one day and decide to speak. They arrived here slowly, through countless moments of thinking about you, pulling back, moving closer, and questioning themselves. Every pause between messages, every unspoken look, every unfinished conversation has led them here, to this point where silence no longer feels safe. They've been asking themselves difficult questions for a long time. Do I say it and risk changing everything? Or do I keep it inside and risk losing the chance forever? These questions don't come from someone who feels lightly. They come from someone who feels deeply and carefully. Someone who knows that once the heart speaks, there's no returning to the way things were before. At first, they tried to convince themselves it was nothing, that what they felt would fade if ignored. That time would make it smaller, but instead, it grew quieter and heavier. You stayed in their thoughts during ordinary moments. You appeared in their mind when they were distracted, when they were tired, when they were trying to focus on something else. Your name became familiar in their inner world. Not overwhelming, but persistent. Not dramatic, but meaningful. They noticed how your presence affected them. How conversations with you felt different from others. How silence with you wasn't empty, but full of awareness. They began to realize that you weren't just someone they liked talking to. You were someone who changed their emotional temperature. Someone who made them feel more awake, more careful, more vulnerable. That's when fear entered quietly. Because caring always invites risk. And this person has been hurt before. They learned, maybe the hard way, that opening your heart doesn't always lead to safety. So they built control, distance, emotional discipline. They became good at hiding what they felt, even from themselves. And yet, with you, that control started to slip. They caught themselves rereading old messages, thinking about how you might respond to something they hadn't said yet, wondering if you sensed the shift inside them. They became more aware of your moods, your tone, your absence. Small changes mattered more than they should have. And that's when they knew this wasn't temporary. Still, they stayed quiet. Not because they didn't want you to know, but because they didn't want to lose you. Silence felt like protection. It allowed the connection to exist without being tested. It allowed them to stay close without stepping into uncertainty. But silence also became heavy. Holding everything inside started to feel like a slow ache. They imagined telling you, in different ways, in different moments. Sometimes it felt possible. Sometimes it felt terrifying. They wondered how you would react. Would you feel the same? Would things become awkward? Would distance replace what once felt natural? These thoughts kept them awake more than once. They weren't just afraid of rejection. They were afraid of changing something that mattered. What shifted recently is subtle, but important. They've started to realize that not saying anything is also a choice. And it's a choice that carries its own consequences. They've begun to feel that keeping the truth hidden might lead to regret. That time doesn't wait forever. That opportunities don't always return once missed. This doesn't mean they are suddenly fearless. They are not. Their heart still races at the idea of speaking. But something inside them has grown stronger than fear. A need for honesty. A desire to stop guessing. A longing to be seen for who they truly are with you. They've noticed signs, too. Moments where you seemed closer, or more distant. Times when they felt the connection tighten, then loosen. These moments made them realize that clarity matters. That unspoken feelings create confusion not just for them, but for you as well. And they don't want to be the reason for uncertainty anymore. So now, they're preparing themselves. Not rehearsing lines, but building courage. Accepting that vulnerability is the price of something real. Accepting that even if the outcome isn't perfect, truth is still better than silence. They are slowly letting go of the idea that they need to control how this ends. When they tell you what's in their heart, it may not come out exactly as imagined. It might be simple. It might be quiet. It might come at an unexpected moment. But it will be sincere. Because this isn't about impressing you. It's about releasing something they've held for too long. You may sense it before it happens. A shift in energy. A hesitation in their words. A seriousness that wasn't there before. When someone prepares to speak from the heart, their presence changes. They become more aware, more careful, more real. What's important for you to understand is this: their honesty is not a demand. It's an offering. They are not coming to you expecting certainty. They are coming because they can no longer pretend that what they feel doesn't exist. Whatever your response may be, they've reached a point where truth feels necessary. This moment has been forming quietly, through patience, restraint, and emotional effort. And that says something about the depth of their feelings. Not everyone is willing to sit with uncertainty for so long. Not everyone is willing to risk vulnerability after learning how painful it can be. If this message feels familiar, it's because many meaningful connections pass through this stage. The space between feeling and speaking. The moment where silence starts to feel heavier than fear. That space is where real courage lives. Soon, you may find yourself in a conversation that feels different. Slower, more intentional. Or you may receive words that feel carefully chosen, slightly nervous, but honest. When that happens, remember that it took strength to get there, and that whatever unfolds next is built on truth, not assumption. Take a moment now and reflect. Did someone come to mind while you read this? Did you feel a sense of recognition, as if this message was touching something personal? If so, trust that awareness. Sometimes we sense emotional shifts before they fully arrive. And sometimes, the most important words are the ones that take the longest to say.